Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to explain you how to use encapsulation in C++ programs. Encapsulation is one of the object-oriented concepts which wraps up data and functions into a single unit, simply said as data hiding. How we can hide data? We know that we have an access modifier named private. When we use private, all the private members of a class cannot be accessed outside the class. Here I am going to start with the program which I have already discussed in C++ classes video. This is the class rectangle and here we have its main function. In this example, I have used public access modifier and this program works fine. Now what I am going to do is I am going to change this public access modifier as private. Now let's see what happens. When we use private access modifier, it says int rectangle width is private. And again it says this calculate area member function is also private. That means when we use private access modifier, all these members cannot be accessed outside the class. So how we access the data inside this class from outside the class? To do that, we can use public member functions. Let's see how to do that. Here I am going to use public and I am going to write new function set length to set the value for length, and here I am going to use length and using this method I can set value to this private variable called as length, and I'm copying the same function and modifying it to set value to width variable here I'm going to change this to width. Now we can use these two functions to set values to this length and width variables. Now I have to change these two lines as well because this length and width values are not accessible outside the class. Therefore, instead of rec.length, I am going to use rec.setLength and I am going to give the value 10. And here instead of rec.width, I am going to use rec.setWidth and then I'm going to pass the value 5. Now let's run the program and see what happens. Now it displays the value 50. Here what I have done is I have made these two variables private and I have made these three functions public. So these three functions can be accessed outside the class and these two variables can be accessed only within the class. To access these two variables, I have used setLength and setWidth functions and I have passed values 10 and 5 to these two functions. And to print the calculated area, I have used the same function which I have already used in the previous program, which is calculate area. When you look at this program, you may think that even if I hide length and width, these setLength and setWidth functions indirectly gives access to those variables. Let's see how we can make this more meaningful. I'm going to add few lines to this setLength function. Let's use if say out What I have done here is I have given a condition that if the length value is greater than 100, I'm going to display maximum length should be 100, as well as I'm going to set the maximum length as 100. If the length is not greater than 100, then I'm going to set the same length which user inserts. Now I'm going to give a value greater than 100 here, and let's see what happens. If this class rectangle uses the same values I'm giving, it should display 1000. But when we run this program, it displays 500. Because in this place, I have given a condition. If the value is greater than 100, we use 100 as its length. Now what happens is, this input does not directly modify the private variable. This means class rectangle have the control over what is really stored in its variables. What I have explained so far is about setting values to the variables. We did that with help of these functions, which starts with the term set. Therefore, we call these as setters. Now let's see how to use getters to retrieve the values of the private variables. Getters usually starts with the term get. Therefore, let's write in get length return length. Similarly, to retrieve the value of width, we can use int get width, which will return the value of the variable width. Now, instead of this calculate area method, we can use cout area is rec dot get length into rec dot get width. Done. Now we do not need this calculate area function anymore. Therefore, I'm going to remove that from this place. This is how we implement encapsulation in C++ programming. Here we have used private members within the class, and to access those private members we have setters and getters. Setters will be used to set values to the variables, and getters will be used to retrieve the values which are stored in the variables. In addition, within the setters you may mention what is really being stored in the variables, and within the getters you may mention what will really be retrieved outside the class.